Hi, everybody. It's still July as I'm making this, but I wanted to try and stay on top of these because I have a lot of reading to do for GARBAUGUST. So while we're still in July, I still have a couple other videos. I have at least two more that I want to be finished by the end of the month. But I wanted to get my first GARBAUGUST video out of the way so that I will be uploading it on August 2nd, but I want to get it done today. So just while it's fresh in my mind. All right, so the first, and I'm making notes too, GARBAUGUST. So my first book that I read for GARBAUGUST was The Searing by John Coyne. Now, John Coyne is an American sci-fi author. And normally I will give a book a rating out of 5. It's very rare that I do anything less than 3 stars. Mostly because if I didn't enjoy it, I just don't bother reviewing it. But trash books, GARBAUGUST, they're gonna have a different rating system. So I've decided to rate the trashiness based on also a 1 to 5, but the least trashy to the most trashy. And so that'll go on writing quality, that'll go on offensiveness in some cases, that'll go on just complete absurdity and ridiculousness of the plot. And I mean, obviously it's a pretty subjective scale about how it makes me feel. So I'm going to give GARBAUGUST a 3 out of 5 trash cans because, oh boy, it's pretty terrible. It really is. Okay, so so it's about this group of people who've just moved into a newly built subdivision, and really newly built. Like, some of them are still building. They don't have lawns. Everything's rocks and dirt. And it's called Renaissance Village, and it's built by a developer by the name of Kevin Volt. And he and his wife Peggy, their daughter dies. So she's the first person to die in this book. And she's like all twisted up. So they think, well, was it crib death? Did somebody murder her? There's footprints. What's going on? So it turns out that her brain, so the thalamus in the brain was so heavily stimulated by some kind of electrical current that it flash fried her. Okay, so this is kind of what comes out after the autopsy. And another one of the main characters is Sarah, who is a doctor and who never seems to wear clothes at home. Now, she's extremely good looking, and she's perpetually concerned that people are going to take her brain seriously because she's so good looking. But she never wears clothes at home. Just not that that really matters. It just seems kind of baffling, especially, okay, this is set in like around September, like around the time school is in and it's starting to become fall. And there's this one scene where she shows up the door. She's wearing a 2-piece swimsuit for no reason that's ever actually explained. And the first night, there's an investigative reporter by the name of Mark, and she and Sarah and Mark are kind of interested in each other, but they're also kind of trying to figure out the mystery together. And Mark is writing a piece about the investigative detectives who are on the case. Okay. And here's where it gets the offensive vote from me. There is a young autistic child who is 11 years old, and she seems to show up everywhere when there is a death. And the child's name is Cindy, and also she is also extraordinarily good looking, but she's feral. Like, she's covered in barnyard animal crap, and nobody's ever bathed this child or, done anything to help her. She just runs around, and, nobody can control her. But at the same time, she seems to be the source of this this wave or whatever it is that's killing people. And then we also find out that the women in the, and this is why I chose it for the first week of GARBAUGUST, the women are having these attacks of really intense orgasms, but they're like painful orgasms. And and this is what earned more trash cans from me. The author doesn't, and by the way, the character being a doctor would understand the names of body parts. But what makes me just cracks me up is there's something vague going on down there in waves. And it's pretty clear that men really don't understand how women's orgasms work. There's no mention of the clitoris or, the organ or any of that stuff. And I mean, it's hilarious the way it's described. And, you would think that he would ask somebody, but no. And it's just something vague going on in the womb. 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 I mean, it even sounds like a pulse, like a wave, right? So it gets even sillier as we go. And it turns out that somehow this autistic child appears to have some kind of magical powers. I'm irritated by the depiction of the autistic child because it's very much a product of its time, where creepy children in horror novels were a trope, a cliche. Not a lot was understood about autism or how their processing works. And it's offensive to me because my nephew's on the spectrum and he would never hurt a fly. And it's just, the whole portrayal of it is so frustrating to me. But anyway, so this child is wandering around, and the other thing that really pissed me off about this is that this is an 11-year-old child. Even if she's somewhere she is not supposed to be, even if she's breaking windows or whatever, that does not give any full-grown man the right to tackle her and hit her. So that got another trash can from me. So anyway, so it turns out that this child is somehow in tune with this weird burial mound. So we've also got, so now we've got a creepy child, we've got some kind of psychic attacks, we've now got an Indian burial mound, which turns out not to be an Indian burial mound, but goes back further to the Celts. And for some reason, the village, the whole feeling of the village to me, the way that it was set up, doesn't feel like an American suburb. It feels like a creepy British pastoral village. But apparently because it's built on a Celtic ruin, that's why they went with that. I don't know. I mean, you kind of lost me by the time Beam started going throughout and destroying everything, because apparently the child is some kind of conduit for aliens. So yeah, you got aliens in here too. Yeah, so we went from killer orgasms to weird aliens. I mean, very trashy book, very silly book. The next one that I bought was, and I was actually excited because I don't usually get physical copies. Usually I review the ebooks, but this time I splurged and I bought Bear by Marian Engel. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Now, now you can see she's naked on the cover, so I do get a little check on the bingo card. This book was not considered trash when it came out, and it won the Governor General's Award of Canada. This is like one of the highest fiction prizes you can win in Canada. There's a cash prize. It's highly prestigious. But I went to this fucking book. Okay. I gave this one 4 out of 5 trash cans because WTF. And this actually was one of the ones that I had bought for the WTF, but I do have one that is a little bit better, so I'm very excited about that. So it's... Sorry. Okay. So, this book. It's about a librarian, and her name is Lou, and she's 24 years old. She's actually an archivist. There is a difference between a librarian and an archivist, but the library that she works for... Maybe I won't get any more interruptions. Okay, so this librarian, her name is Lois, and the library that she works for receives an endowment from a family that, you know, the last remaining person has died and left their house and what's in it to the library. So Lou goes to this tiny little island in northern Ontario. It's in the Algoma area, which is kind of Lake Superior up there, far north. And there's a real character by the name of Homer, and he's kind of like Mr. Exposition, right? So he talks about the family's history and the, you know, what's going on the island and how to get back and forth. So Lou she stays in this, it's an octagonal house, which apparently was kind of a thing in the 1850s. And there's no running water, there's no plumbing, there's no electricity. She's very much roughing it, but she is absolutely in her element because she's got all this cool stuff to look at and archive and make notes about, and, you know, this is her joy. But then Homer says to her, well, did anyone tell you about the bear? There is a bear that the family has always owned. I guess a succession of bears since they've been there, 120 years. And they keep it on a chain in a little hut at the back of the property. Now, I feel really sorry for the bear, actually, because it's a wild animal that is chained to a hut and just gets fed whenever somebody decides to feed it. I mean, I wouldn't treat a dog that way. I certainly wouldn't treat a wild animal that way. And how is it that these people's faces aren't ripped off yet? But we'll go with it. So she starts taking the bear. So there's a very, very old native lady. She's like 101, and she's tiny and toothless. And her name's Lucy. And she tells Lou, shit with the bear, and you'll make friends with it. So Lou goes out for her morning shit, and she squats there, embarrassed all to hell, but I guess somehow it works. So she starts making friends with the bear. She starts taking it down to the river for a swim, and as time passes, as the summer passes, she starts to get kind of more and more interested in the bear, and she starts to get more and more excited by the bear. Okay, sorry, I forget where I left off. I believe it was shit with the bear and make friends with him. So she starts taking him out, and he starts coming into the house at night. And she's a little afraid of him at first because it's a fucking bear. It's a full-grown adult male fucking bear. But she starts to get interested in him. And then eventually she starts fucking around with the bear, and he starts like licking her everywhere. And I spent most of it going, the fuck? Governor General's Award, okay? So yes, 4 out of 5. And I really think that at least some of it is for this cover. Check this out. This is the original cover for the paperback. I mean, wow. Okay, so that takes care of our first 2 reads for GARBAUGUST. We're off to a flying start. And what I decided as far as GARBAUGUST is that, I mean, I probably am not going to be able to tick off everything on the bingo card. I'm probably not going to be able to read everything that I want to read, although, I mean, they just keep piling up and piling up. Like, I found so much ridiculous stuff. It is not funny. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do 1 or 2 reviews per week that's on the theme. And then if I do more, that's going to be sort of like extra credit for the GARBAUGUST bingo card. And also, just a fair warning, even though I do normally, this is obviously normally a horror channel and I normally do horror reviews, you're going to be seeing a lot more weird stuff and non-horror. Probably more romance, probably more adventure stuff, just because it fits more in the theme of the GARBAUGUST. So if you're not interested in the non-horror reviews, by all means, we'll see you back here once GARBAUGUST is over. Otherwise, I hope you're reading lots of great horror. Have a great day.